What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for clicking on today's video. So today we are going to be interviewing Heather, who is this interview is really awesome. I'm very excited for you guys to listen, for you guys to watch. Before we get into it, I do want to let you guys know that I actually uploaded this as a podcast episode as well. So if that's something that you like to listen to, if you like to listen to podcasts, if that's a little bit easier for you, there will be a link down in the description. It's to the Work for Change podcast, which is the podcast that I've been doing for over 2 years now with my brother. So I'd love for you guys to check it out over there if you do like listening to podcasts. But again, all the links will be for the podcast will be down below. Thank you guys so much and enjoy this interview. So Heather, seriously, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the channel. I appreciate it. I mean, there's so much stuff that I want to talk about, but just for people that might be new to you, that haven't seen any of your content before, you know, who are you? Why are you on the channel? Why do you believe you're on the channel, I guess would be a better question. And yeah, just give people, I guess, a little bit of a rundown of who you are.
I mean, my name's Heather. I basically, I had bariatric surgery. It'll actually be this month. I'll be 5 years post-op. And from there, I used to be 356 pounds and I lost a ton of freaking weight, and it's just been a journey ever since between everything. And I've, been just kind of doing my thing, and I just keep it on.
So I think like one of the most interesting things about your journey, one, is how open you are about everything. I think like the fact that you are, from what I've seen, very open about the pros and the cons of getting like bariatric surgery, and just in general, you've had a few surgeries, right? Like, do you know off the top of your head like how many surgeries you've had? Based about like weight loss and like those types of surgeries.
Yeah. So
I don't I don't need to know about every surgery you've ever had, but you know what I'm talking about.
Like, you don't want to know about my tooth, my wisdom tooth?
Yeah.
So I had bariatric surgery about 5 years ago. As you know, with any, you end up with loose skin. It's kind of inevitable. I mean, to what degree you're going to have, everyone's different. I had my first round of skin removal November 2019. And unfortunately, I needed a revision of that surgery. I ended up with like 10 more inches of skin at the top that had to be removed. So that surgery was just this past September. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm very open and honest about those surgeries. I had complications both rounds, and actually, like, I ended up with open wounds. The first time I was hospitalized like 2.5 weeks right before Christmas last year, and this past time I was only in the hospital a week, but I still had open wounds. So it's
okay, so before we get into that, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to get like the backstory of like of your weight gain and stuff, and then of the choice and decision you had to actually get like a weight loss surgery, and then go into what type of surgery you actually got, because I think all of that stuff is really interesting. So first, like, can you take us down the road of how you started gaining the weight? Like, were you someone that was always overweight? Did you gain weight after high school? Like, what was the journey like for you to get to your highest weight?
Pretty much I've been overweight as a child, like all my life. Unfortunately, I'm a very emotional eater, and to deal with the abuse from my father, I ended up eating my feelings. So it kind of took me, I haven't seen my father or spoke to him in 20 years. Unfortunately, it was around 6th grade. I moved to a whole new town. I moved in with my grandparents and my mom. Why they helped, my mom try to get back up on her feet. I, moved in with my 2 sisters. So that was like throwing a monkey wrench in their life, their lifestyle. But I'm very fortunate that they even took me in, because we honestly would have ended up in a woman's shelter because my mom had nowhere to go. So I, very fortunate for that. Unfortunately, like, I kind of just always ate my feelings, and, being the new kid and being overweight, it wasn't that easy making friends in a new town to begin with. And I kind of that's how I always dealt with things. I tried everything too, like even middle school, like even went with my grandma to Weight Watchers. And I tried Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig. I've tried a lot of stuff on my own, and it just never seemed to work for me. Mm-hmm. Then my senior year, I had met my husband. And from there, I was a hairdresser, like assisting at the time. long hours. I worked 8 12-hour days, on my feet, and poor eating habits. It just got worse, between that and relationship weight. I ended up gaining another over, I want to say like 130 something pounds. Cause I was like two something in high school. And then when I, started dating Matt, I just blew up even more. But he, loved me no matter what. He married me at my highest, 356 pounds.
So when you were like at your highest and stuff like that, did you ever deal with any? Was there ever any like complications, or like is there anything that you can remember that was like frustrating for you being at that size?
Yeah, I was having a really hard time at work being on my feet. At the end of the day, I would come home and I would wait for my neighbors to leave and not be outside because I was struggling, like walking up my driveway.
You're a hairdresser, right?
Yeah, I'm a hairdresser. Yeah. Long hours on your feet, being overweight doesn't help either. I could barely walk up my driveway. And what really did it for me was one day behind the chair, I'm in the middle of doing a blow dry and I'm getting these chest pains. And I'm like, okay, like it doesn't feel good, like it hurts, but I'm going to keep finishing my blowout. And then, I finished my blowout and my husband actually took me to the ER. And
oh, really?
I just remember being so scared and thinking like, this is it. I'm dead. Like, I don't know what's happening. They're ripping my clothes off, putting EKG wires all over me. My rolls of fat are all over the place. And I kept thinking like, this is it. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like, they're going to tell me, I'm having like a stroke or heart attack. Like, I don't know what's going on. And that to me was the point where I just was like, I can't do this anymore.
Dude,
yeah.
That, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but like that, I remember when I was at my heaviest, I was 20. So I was pretty young. I wasn't old by any means, right? But I remember being 20 years old. Like I would get freaked out if I felt anything in my chest, like any sort of like little pain but at the same time, I'm like terrified of going to the doctor. So I would never tell anyone, but I would just like, I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous, but like it was a real thing that I felt. Like I was like, man, if this happens when I am like at home alone at night, like I don't think I'm going to tell anyone. I'll probably just, that'll be it. I just remember like that was like a fact for me. It was just like, well, that's how I go, And so like hearing you talk about that and the fact that you actually went to the ER, like there were many times that I was probably, if I was someone that wasn't so afraid of like doctors and stuff, or just hospitals in general, I probably would have went, but I was just like, I'm good. I'll deal with it. We'll be okay. So that story right there, was that like your, what I like to call click moment, or was there stuff after that? So that was your click moment. Okay.
That was like really my click moment. That's when I realized I was like, what am I doing? Like that could be it. Like I'm going to leave Matt. Like I had just gotten married, and I'm like, wow, I just got married. I haven't had kids yet. I just, actually one of my coworkers suggested bariatric surgery. And I was like, really? And she was like, yeah, she had recommended someone that her mother-in-law used in town where I work. And I met with them and Garden State Bariatrics, and they literally helped me every step of the way, because it wasn't an easy decision. And even like being on the table last minute, I had that little like, could I have done this on my own? Like I had that little regret. Like I kind of was like, maybe I could hop off the table and just call it, I'll be done with it. And before I knew it, I was knocked out anyway.
Yeah. I think that's something that a lot of people kind of deal with, is like, I think the shame, or like this weird feeling of I'm cheating, right? When it comes to getting weight loss surgery. And I mean, I've talked about this ad nauseum. I've definitely had a change of heart from when I like first started. I remember when I first started my Instagram, I had like lost 180 pounds, no surgery, right? Or all natural or something like that. And I was like very proud of it. But the more and more I look into it, like I personally think that it should be the last option. Like there should be a lot of things that you do before you just decide to get surgery, right? It shouldn't be like, oh, I can't lose weight, I'm going to get surgery. It's like there's a lot of steps that I think are worth taking that might work for you, so you don't have to get the surgery, right? But if you eventually decide that surgery is the option that you're going to take, right, you shouldn't feel shame about that, right? Because it doesn't you're a perfect example. It's not rainbows and butterflies after you get the surgery.
No.
There's a lot of work that goes into it. So can you tell us, like, what surgery did you end up getting? Because there's tons of different ones, and why you decided to get that one?
So I had the loop duodenal switch, which basically, I know a lot of people aren't familiar with it.
I'm not. Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. So it's basically a cross between a sleeve and a bypass. So you get the restriction from, they're removing a portion of your stomach, and they reroute your intestines. So your channel's shorter. And it's interesting because I found this out after I had surgery that, I had the loop duodenal switch, but there's an original duodenal switch that their channel is even shorter. And if you find their Facebook group, they'll tell you that you had the wrong surgery. Because
really?
they're like more supreme switchers. They'll tell you, yeah, you didn't get the right one. Your doctor did you wrong. They'll tell you straight out. But it's very informative.
Supreme switchers. Sounds like a good band name.
It's like the Sneetches, Dr. Seuss. It's literally like the Sneetches. Like, oh, you have 1 star, I want 2. It's like, okay.
It's with anything, people will do what they can to feel better than someone else, right? It's just a fact. Like, that's how a lot of people that have lost weight feel about anyone that's gotten any type of surgery, right? I am better than you because yada yada yada. It is part of the wonderful journey we call life.
Yeah.
So tell me about, like, once you got the surgery, what was it like after you got it? How was the recovery? What was that like for you?
It was kind of rough. Like, at one point I was barely consuming like calories. Like, it took me, Premier Protein. It took me all day to drink 1.
Wow.
Cause you don't want to even eat and I remember my roommate in the hospital, cause you had to stay a couple days. She wasn't a bariatric patient. She had like back surgery or something, and she would bring McDonald's and Starbucks in the room, and I'm nauseous from this surgery, and I'm just smelling all her food, and it makes me even more sick. And she's like, oh yeah, the person before you was a bariatric patient too. And I'm like, thank you for being so kind, because
she said I didn't learn anything from my last experience at all.
Yeah, I'm like, thank you for just being a little tactful. I'm like, all right. But yeah, it was rough. I mean, a lot of things didn't sit well with me. It was like, you go through the liquid stage, and then, the soft food, and then you slowly introduce food. Like, I was terrified introducing new food because you don't know how your body's going to react, honestly.
So I don't want to cut you off, but this is like interesting because I hear this a lot. So when you say like you don't know how your body's going to react, did you have any bad reactions? And if you did, like, what does that mean?
So I was actually really lucky because the thing is, like, a lot of it for the DS is bathroom issues more than anything.
Okay.
I ended up more so like constipation, but I've heard other people that have had issues with the bathroom, like they can't get out of there.
Okay.
So, I mean, everyone's so different.
Yeah. So you end up getting the surgery. I'm kind of curious, the timeline after that. Like, how fast did you end up losing the weight? And then I know this is going to condense a lot of stuff probably in a very short amount of time. But from, when you decided to once you got the weight loss surgery to then when you were like, oh, you know what? I think I should get some loose skin surgery. What was that like, that in-between stage for you?
So I lost the weight pretty quickly, but it was pretty funny because, like, one day I went to see my grandma, and, Matt, of course, men lose weight a little quicker, even though he basically just cut out eating out more. He was eating like not even that healthy. And I don't even remember how much weight I had lost at that point. And my grandma goes to him, wow, Matt, you look really good. You're losing some weight. And I'm like, I just got cut open. Like, you're supposed to say I look good.
Yeah.
So I thought that, I was like, okay, grandma, like, okay. But basically it's, I want to say hit maintenance around a year and a half out. Okay. I was pretty much in the mindset, like, I was going to be the one person that the surgery wasn't going to work for, and I was going to fail. So I was very strict, I made sure, like, I didn't eat anything I wasn't supposed to. Like, to this day, I have not had bread, rice, or pasta unless I made it. So, like, I'll make my own bagels out of, like, protein powder, sunflower seed flour, because I'm allergic to tree nuts.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have pasta. I have zucchini noodles because I just think they're awesome, and it does it for me. And it's just, you know what it is, when you find replacements for the food you used to love, like, it doesn't make you want to stray. I
So,
feel like
okay.
if you're too restrictive, then you're gonna stray.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm curious about that because I'm always curious about why people eat the way that they eat. So is there like a rule book, like when you get this surgery? Because again, I don't know much about this one. When you get the surgery, do they tell you like you're not supposed to have those things that you listed, or is that more of a personal choice that you've made?
I think it's like a more of a personal choice, but it's interesting because, okay, first off, potatoes are just straight up carbs. That was listed under soft foods to eat. So I was like, why would I be eating potatoes, like mashed potatoes? There's
Mm-hmm.
no protein in it, and it's just carbs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, I'm not doing that. I don't know. It's just, you know what it is? I basically did a high protein, low carb, low sugar, because with my particular surgery, I needed more protein because of the malabsorption than
Yeah.
someone typically with a sleeve. I think the sleeve, they want you to get in what, 60 to 80 grams of protein. I was hitting above 90 to like 120 grams of protein a day.
Mm. This
So
is, I
I
mean, that's
needed
something that,
protein.
yeah, I think that's something that a lot of people that don't know about the surgeries, they don't realize, like a lot of people that get the surgeries, they end up having like issues, right? Because the nutrients, like, because you're not able to eat much. And so if the food that you're not able to eat much of is garbage, you're like, I can eat ice cream. And it's like, okay, all you ate was ice cream today, yeah, you're gonna lose weight, but you might also start losing your hair. It's like, this is something that happens to a
Yeah.
lot of people. Like your hair starts because
But
you're not getting the
everyone
nutrients you need.
does.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, well,
everyone, yeah,
the
of
hair
course.
loss, everybody. It's just making sure you get like adequate protein, your iron levels are good. Because I know everyone, my hair went through like a really bad stage because you're not eating enough. I had like barely any energy in the beginning because you're not consuming a lot of calories.
Mm-hmm. So okay, so now I'm kind of curious. When was there? What do you remember a time in your head where you were like, okay, I think I want to get like loose skin surgery? Was there a moment, or was it like something that kind of just over time you just decided that you wanted?
It was actually kind of funny because I actually like would post like on the post because everyone would ask me about my loose skin because I never showed it at one point because I was like, I lost all this weight and unfortunately like, I'm not gonna have skin removal until I have like my family. It's just it was something I didn't really think about too much. But actually, a longtime friend, client of mine, he knew me since I was 18. He thought that I just did something incredible and amazing, and he wanted to do this for me. So that's when I kind of had the opportunity. I was like, okay, like I want to do this because one, I was having infections too from
Mm.
the, panniculus, the front hanging skin. And I was a runner at the time, so it definitely didn't help. Like I was on like niacin, antibiotic cream. A couple times I had to go to the doctor for the infections, and it was just getting to a point where it's like, yeah, I could still have this skin, but it was causing an issue for me.
Mm.
So that's when I kind of was like, you know what, maybe, I had asked Matt too, because this decision involved him just as much as it did me.
Yeah.
And, I'd ask him, is it okay? We put off starting our family that I could do this. And he goes, I just want you to be happy, whatever's going to make you happy. So
Mm-hmm.
that kind of did it for me. And that, made me
Yeah.
the decision that much easier.
It's interesting because like I'm obviously I've talked about this a lot of times, like with loose skin surgery and stuff. Like obviously I'm someone that hasn't gotten it, but I don't care whatever anyone decides to do. Like it's like whatever your choice, that's your choice. If you want to just get the surgery because you want to look better and you think that will make you look better, that's a completely valid reason to do it, right? Mm-hmm. But then with you, this is something that a lot of people don't know much about, but like because everyone is so different, like for me, I've never had an issue with my skin like that. Like I've never had any sort of infection, anything like that, right? But just because that hasn't happened to me, that doesn't mean that I don't think I know other people that have had that issue, and that's a genuine reason why getting rid of the loose skin is going to make your life a lot better, right? Yeah. And so, take me through the surgery and then the complications. I know that there was quite a bit of complications that you had, which I'd love to hear about.
I had a panelectomy, which was the front hanging skin, and I also had an anchor abdominoplasty. So the incision goes up to take care of the skin at the top, because I carried all my skin in my stomach primarily. And, you know, it was something like, I remember the recovery, like, it wasn't easy. Like, 3 days later, I ended up in the hospital. I had
Really?
a superficial cellulitis infection, which was interesting. None of my surgical sites were infected, but I had this superficial cellulitis. And I just remember I was there like 2.5 weeks, and my lower extremities blew up. When I tell you my leg was scary, huge, like painful, I ended up getting blisters developed on my skin from the swelling. That's how extreme
Wow.
it was. And they, remember, they sent me downstairs to get, like, my heart ultrasound and stuff, to make sure that they wanted to make sure there wasn't fluid around my heart, because that's typically, swelling. They're worried about that, complications with, their heart. And they weren't sure why. They had to put me on Lasix. I was on 2 antibiotics IV round the clock. And from the swelling, I ended up with 3 open incisions on me. One where my belly button would have been, because this girl doesn't have a belly button. Kind of proud about that.
It's
I
like,
didn't want a belly button.
was it Kyle XY? Was that the show where he didn't have a belly button?
Kyle XY.
Yeah.
Kyle XY. And I loved that. I didn't want a belly button, because honestly, if that thing was like an Audi, I would have flipped out. I was like, no belly button. I'm totally fine with without a belly button. So that wound opened up on me. The one right above my pubic area opened up on me. And it was funny, because that's exactly where Amy Splatter's Andy Warhol, she called it, that's where hers was too. It's I guess it's like, the poor blood supply, to those areas. And, you're essentially like putting skin back together. That, first off, the skin is so thin to begin with. And, it's crazy. Like, you deal with these wound openings, and, I ended up with a wound vac. Amy actually helped me out so much with that. Especially when I had to get, my wounds changed twice a week. They take like the sponges out, because with the wound vac, it's this machine that kind of sucks all the unhealthy tissue out. It's really gross. It kind of makes farting noises. It's disgusting. And I had a portable one, and I would go to the wound care center twice a week and get my sponges ripped out and changed, which is really painful. And she would tell me, she was like, just think of England. So I told her one day, I'm like, yeah, I thought about England. It didn't work. It didn't work. I had it for a while after I came out of the hospital. I want to say a month and a half. I had the portable wound vac, because it's amazing. Like, I was stocking up on Juven. I was drinking it twice a day. Juven's like a wound healing powder. I made sure I had adequate protein, because that's what helps your body heal. And, I was just doing all the things I needed to do to try to heal the wounds.
Wow, man. I think, one, it's really important to talk about this stuff, because I feel one thing that's frustrating to me, this is a personal thing, but like, a lot of people will comment on my pictures and videos and be like, you should get the loose skin surgery. And they treat it like it's just like, cut it off, blam, bam, bam, thank you, ma'am, and you're good to go. Like, you don't have, and I'm just like, because I have had so many conversations with people that have had it, and like, a lot of them go really well and it's not a problem. And like, I'm not saying that it's always bad, but then there's other people that I've talked to that it's like, it's not sunshine and rainbows, And so hearing you talk about that, it's just like, not saying that it's going to stop me. If I ever decide to get it, I might get it. I'm not going to say I will never get it, but like, right now I don't have any plans on it. But like, I like to make, like, I think a lot about any decision I make, right? And so like, hearing this stuff it's not that it scares me, but it's like, hey, this thing is real, right? Like, this is a serious surgery. It's not just cut some skin off and you're good to go. And so,
I mean, everyone makes it seem like, oh yeah, like, and it's like, no, it's like, it's bad. Like, the recovery, it's not easy. You can't get comfortable. You're trying to heal. You're trying to sleep. You could barely sleep, because finding a position that you weren't in like pain is like really hard. Which I know from now, like, I know a lot of people that ended up getting recliners. Like, they would rent a recliner, which apparently worked miracles. I tried the couch. I tried the chair. I couldn't get comfortable. And to know I had to go back in, it was something, it was a hard decision for me, but I knew like I had to do it.
Yeah, so I wanted to talk about, so you've had 2 surgeries, correct? Loose skin
Yes.
surgeries. So I know I keep asking you to tell me about the mindset, but that's like super super interesting to me. So after you went all through all of that, you decide that you are willing, basically, I don't want to say chance it, but like technically kind of chance it again and go through it again. Why make that decision, and how did you kind of get yourself to the position where you're like, okay, I'm going to do it? Because that's brave, man. That's brave. I wouldn't be able to do it, just being honest. I wouldn't.
So for me, it was very hard. I was actually having a rough couple months with it. When I realized as it was healing that I still had a good amount of skin left. And it was something for me being in the hospital. The only thing that was getting me through, knowing like I was going to look amazing after this, I was going to feel amazing after this, and I didn't. So when I realized I needed to do it, I was just like, I'm just going to, whenever I can, I want to do this. And my surgery was supposed to be in June, but with COVID, it got canceled. And I was
where
devastated.
did you get the second surgery? Like where did you where was it at on your body?
I had basically the anchor abdominoplasty again. So the top area, I ended up with 10 more inches of skin. And also the previous round, I had did my breast augmentation, because I had that done like 14 years ago in high school, because it wasn't bad enough being like fat. I had one breast that had no breast tissue, and the other one, like I had to stuff my bra and put like socks and tissues, and my mom caught me one day. So junior year, I had my breast done, and you couldn't tell I was heavy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you could tell, oh yeah, she got a boob job. Like, no. And it was for, I had a genetic anomaly. Like one breast like was like an A and the other one was like a C. So, and to begin with, that was like kind of like not the best job. And the surgeon had talc on his gloves, and I ended up with a capsular contracture of the one breast that I had no breast tissue.
Dude, yeah. You are a magnet for bad surgeries. I think you need to stop. I'm just kidding, but holy smokes!
No, I've heard it before.
Oh my gosh!
No,
don't.
This was actually.
If you ever have to go to the dentist, please just really think about it, okay? Because you're gonna end up with dentures or something.
Oh my gosh! Can you imagine?
Oh.
No, but I mean, he wanted to take those implants out first off. Anyway, they were first off, they were above the muscle, which I needed below the muscle, and they were textured implants, which are known to cause cancer. So I have to get screened for that, now to make sure, he's glad we got them out. But the one implant that I had to actually get replaced this last time because it moved out of the pocket into my armpit.
No.
So that was the second round. And it wasn't about until 3 weeks later from the second surgery, I ended up with superficial cellulitis again, which is
gosh, dude.
Apparently once you have that, it's very easy to get it again.
Okay.
And it's weird. None of the surgical sites were infected. It's a superficial infection of the skin in like my groin area. So it was just very weird. And I ended up this time with open wounds again. The same area too, right above the pubic area. And this time I ended up with one at the top where the skin met the breast, like in the middle. That wound opened up on me. And one of my drain sites, because one of the perks of surgery is you get these lovely tubes coming out of you wake up with.
Like a cyborg.
Nice, good stuff. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Like my husband helped me change it, like, and empty it because it was just so gross.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like I've obviously spoke to many people that have had the surgery, and they're like, one of the most important things is like you have to have someone to help you. Like you have to have someone that is like with you constantly that can help you with a multitude of things. And so, geez, man. Okay, I mean, we could go into that forever, but I kind of want to kind of shift a little bit to like your experience like online, because you share, this isn't like new information that like it's the first time you're opening up about this, right? Like you talk about this. And
I talk about this.
Yeah, why? You know what I mean? Like what motivated you to want to share this? Because we've already talked about it, but when you share something online, there's going to be backlash. So what motivated you to want to share like this type of stuff with people?
Honestly, because like this is my life. This is what happened to me, and I just feel like you said, it's not all rainbows.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could help someone, you don't understand how many people have reached out to me just to talk about their open wounds. You could get an open wound from a C-section,
Mm-hmm.
a simple procedure. Anything where you're involved cutting, you get an open wound. And so many people reached out to me. And actually, someone I like grew very close with the second time I had surgery, she had her first skin removal, I want to say a week or two after mine. And she's a duodenal switch too. I think she had the original one though. She ended up, this is why I'm saying complications happen, and it's just amazing to talk to someone that's been
Mm-hmm.
through this. She ended up with a seroma in her stomach that she needed to go back in, not even 2 months out from this first surgery. Your body's still trying to recover from that surgery. And she ended up too with the same thing. She had skin on her panelectomy still, and she ended up with the top inches of skin that she had to go back in, and she had asked me my honest opinion, because the seroma you have to take care of. It could cause an infection. She
Mm-hmm.
basically had drains in her forever to try to get rid of the fluid in her body, but it was a seroma. It had to be taken care of. She asked me my honest opinion, and I was like, honestly, if you're up to it, do it, because you're not going to be happy at the end of the day. You're going to still have that skin. It's not going to go down. It's not going to get better. And that's something I always thought, like, it would go away, and it didn't. I just kept thinking, oh, I got to heal. And it just didn't.
Yeah.
And I know some people that I follow that have had to have revision surgery, because let's face it, weight loss patients, we're not easy. And when you have so much loose skin, to get it all at the first time, like, I envy the people that I see, they have their skin removal and they're like gorgeous in one shot. I envy them, but it's just not my story. And, I love that I could help people. I mean, this time I didn't show my wound care photos, because last time, actually on Christmas Day, someone posted my photo of me at the wound care center, neck down, of my open wounds on Reddit under botched surgery, saying when skin removal and implants go wrong, and she's excited about her new waistline. And I just remember reading the comments were awful. She looks like an autopsied corpse. No, autopsy corpses look better. And I was already low. I'm trying to recover from like my wounds and my surgery. And I just remember like knowing, like, this time I was like, yeah, I'm not sharing, because I've had people ask me, oh, can we see your wounds? And I'm like, no, I just needed to protect my own energy and my own self. I did it the first time. I have open wounds. I said, if you need to talk about it, feel free to DM me, but I'm not going to post my pictures of my wounds.
Yeah. And it's just so sad that it's understandable and like totally understandable, but it's sad that people will do that. And then the reality is that now you weren't able to share something that, I don't want to say this I'm not trying to make you feel bad, but I'm just like it sucks that like, it made you not want to share something that could have maybe helped someone, right? Like, and again, completely your choice and understandable 1000%. But it's just like, man, when people talk like that, it's just frustrating, man, because the people that will have the biggest opinion are the people that have nothing to lose, right? They're not posting their stuff. It's always the anonymous account, or if you go on these other websites, which we've talked about, which we don't have to bring up, but like, it's always anonymous people that are just saying garbage about people. It's just frustrating because it's hard enough to share. It's hard enough to share these frustrating things or these like really personal things with the world. But of course, the reason that you're doing it, it's not like you're trying to gain clout because you have open wounds. It's like, no, I'm trying to share this with other people to hopefully help with someone that might have an issue or might be thinking about going through this. And then now people are making you feel like you don't want to share. It's frustrating, man. So
it was very hard. Everyone was like, especially when I found out I needed to do a second round. And I just remember I actually kept this secret 2 days until my surgery date in September, because I didn't want to hear anybody, like, and I needed to do this for me, like it said, like, I share everything. but it was something I didn't feel like I need until I got like my COVID test came back negative. Like I wanted to get through all the hurdles because I couldn't take it putting it out there and then not being able to do this surgery right now because it was right. Like I was having a hard time as it was like dealing with knowing I had to go in for a second surgery because it wasn't easy the first time. And I knew the risk and complications of going back in. So.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's something that people deal with just in general, like online. I know a lot of people don't share certain things because they don't want to deal with like the backlash, which, you know, the sad thing about that is then people just aren't, I don't know, makes it sound bad, but like aren't being as honest, not because they're trying to be dishonest, but it's because they don't want to deal with, you know, trolls or the backlash, which is, so it's like it's kind of a lose-lose for everyone. Because like, so to kind of put myself in the same kind of situation, like when I first hurt my back, I was like open about it, and I remember I talked about it on my YouTube channel, and I shared my recovery, and then I ended up like re-injuring it, and I remember just being like, I don't want to share this, and I didn't talk about it for a really long time, and mentally that was really hard for me because I'm now like hiding this thing that is really hard for me, but I'm afraid of the backlash, so then I'm not being honest, which I wasn't, but it wasn't because I was trying to be dishonest or like a bad person. It was like I don't want to deal with the trolls and people saying I told you so, or like blah blah blah, you know what I mean? And so it's a tragedy, you know. That might be a little bit extra of a word, but it really is. It's sad.
No, it really is, because everyone's got opinions. And it was funny because I don't know if you wanted to bring that like one website up. This past time in the hospital,
it's your choice if you want to use the name. That's all. Okay, all right.
All these, like, you know.
Yeah.
I was doing a live in the hospital this past time because I was bored and I like, you know, I just needed company because I really like Matt can only come a certain time. I really couldn't have visitors with COVID. So I would like keep in touch with everyone, let everyone know how I was doing. And someone mentioned this website. They were like, oh, are you posting on this website? And I was like, no, I'm not posting on this website. I don't know what this is, but if they are, like, it's not me. And apparently someone messaged me and they're like, don't go on this website because apparently this website talks about weight loss people in the community and other influencers. And it's basically a mean girl book online. And there was about 7 pages on me. There's probably more now. Everything from, you know, oh, she's going on a bike ride. Like, why is she wearing a hoodie on a bike ride? And then like, oh, she's like, you know, I would have fixed that messed up mug before I fixed my botched boob job, like all this stuff. And it just went on. And at first I was just like I read every comment and I was like, wow. But I was in a certain place where I was like, you know what? I know my truth now. Like if I had read this prior to my surgery, like it would have hit me hard because I wasn't in a good space. But I knew with all the complications I was having this time, like I knew my truth and I know what I'm fighting for. So I wasn't going to let, you know, their comments get to me. And like, honestly, I haven't read it since. It was just ridiculous. It was just like, they don't know me. They think they know me. You don't. There are certain things like, you know, as much as I put everything out there, there are certain things because it involves other people, I don't. And it's sad. I feel bad because I feel like they don't have self-worth and they have to take it out on me. Just like the one girl that posted on Reddit. I actually called her out on it because my friend did some CSI stuff. And there was like a random picture of a dog with a dog tag and had her number on it. And I called her.
Oh, snap.
I called her. I left a message because she didn't pick up. And I basically was like, hi, this is Heather. You may know me, you know, Automax Noir.
Oh my God.
And I just wanted to tell you, you know, you were trying to degrade my weight loss with this photo. Like, I don't know what you were trying to do, but I'm like, go ahead. Because you know what? I am damn proud of like my body and like what I've done with my, you know, weight loss. And I'm like, you know, I really
if you want, we can get the number and we can call them and be very nice. You know, I'm just kidding.
Be like, you know, because everyone's like, it was so funny. They're like, who are you calling? Because I did a video of me calling her. And she actually took, because Reddit wouldn't take down the picture. She took it down. And she was basically like, you know, I did do it out of, you know, it was out of jealousy. And she's like, I hope you could forgive me. And it's sad because that's what you know, I have to feel sorry for people that have to do that. Like, you don't know me and you have
Mhm.
so much hate for me. You don't even know me. And I'm
Well,
just
like
trying to live my life.
that's just, at least from my experience, like usually the people that are like the people that are the most upset with me. And I know I keep bringing it back to me, but that's obviously the only experience I have. But like the people that are usually the most upset with me, like genuinely mad that I haven't gotten the surgery, are people that are like overweight, that want to lose weight, that have just sadly haven't been able to do it, right? And they get mad because like if I lost weight and I had loose skin, I would hate it so much and I'd have to get it cut off. And it's like that's fine. Like we're all different. I'm not like if that's your choice, but usually that's where it comes from. So when people are usually so like they spit so much venom about a certain thing, it's because it hits close to home for them in some way, right? It could have been like it could have not even been that she was struggling with the weight, but maybe her mom does, or maybe her brother does, or maybe this person does, and whatever, right? Like there's usually some sort of connection there because like for me, if someone brought up some weird thing that I had no personal tie with, I would never be like, I'm gonna make a whole page about this, and like I just would like, okay, whatever, I don't care. But like
Yeah,
obviously
like,
there's
I don't
some
know.
connection there.
Yeah. And that's why I just have to take it from where it's coming from. Like, I'm living my life and my truth. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. If
Mm-hmm.
you, and the funny thing is, they like watch my Insta stories like a hawk.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they're like, oh, shout out, shout out. And I'm like, bro, I'm like, and you know, it's just, it's sad. I'm like, if you hate me so much, unfollow me. Like, I don't know why you're following me in my journey. If it upsets you that much seeing me
Yeah. I
doing
mean,
my thing, living my life.
it's so strange. Okay, so let's move on from this because we could spend forever on this. But I kind of want to talk about just like your fitness journey and like because you said that you were like riding bikes and stuff like that, and I know that at one point you got like really lean, and then you decided like, hey, maybe I don't want to be this lean, or this isn't the best. So like what has like your fitness journey been from like the beginning up until now? Like how has that changed for you?
So in the very beginning, like, I got down to like 125 pounds, and my metabolic doctor actually yelled at me. She's like, you lost too much weight.
Well,
She wanted me. Yeah,
especially considering you probably had loose skin, so that's adding to the weight. So you were probably much
I
leaner.
was much.
How tall are
Yeah,
you?
I'm 5'4".
Yeah, so that's oof, that's
I know,
pretty lean.
everyone asks me. My husband's 6'8", so they think I'm like so short. I'm like, no, I'm average. He's
Yeah,
tall.
pretty average. Yeah,
I'm pretty average.
he's a giant.
Uh, she yelled at me because she goes, we talked that you were supposed to be 160 to 180. She goes, you lost too much weight. She's like, this is not good. And you're going to be sick like all the time. Like, this is not good. And I actually broke up with her then because I didn't want to hear it. Because you know what it is? It's like, I did something, like I lost all this weight and I thought I looked good. And, you know, from, you know, I was doing water aerobics. I was running like, you know, a lot. And then what happened after my first skin removal with the wounds, I couldn't work out for months because my wounds had to heal and I had to give my body time. And between the stress from, you know, and all the complications, and I had to consume a lot more protein, which kind of broke my training of only eating when you're hungry, because I had to eat when I wasn't to
Mm-hmm.
get the protein for my body to heal. And I'm an emotional eater, and it, you know, to begin with, so it kind of just triggered me, and then I had some regain from that. But honestly, like, I'm in a healthy weight. I'm actually the weight range my metabolic doctor wanted me in, and I actually feel a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I have like curves now, and it's funny, I look at old photos because I just brought this up like last week about regaining it, because it was something I felt so ashamed for, and I wasn't in a good place to begin with my skin removal, the first one. So I didn't want to talk about it. But I'm at a point where I actually am very happy and I love my body right now. Is it perfect? No, but it's my body and I'm feeling so amazing these days. And I'm biking, like, you know, I just started biking again, but like right before my surgery, I was doing my outdoor single speed beach cruiser. I did 30 miles.
Holy crap, dude!
No
A
gears.
single
My leg.
speed? That's insane.
Single speed.
Yeah.
Single speed, 30 miles. And that was the Monday right before my surgery, like a Sunday right before my surgery. And I was so proud because I did it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's been pretty much my journey. I have like a drive where if I have my mind set on something, like, I'm going to do it. It might take a little bit, but I'm going to do it. And even now, I'm building my, muscle and stamina back up from recovery. I'm doing my stationary bike, and I'm trying to hit, I would do, the up and down resistance. And I used to do it 5 miles in 28 minutes. And I've been hitting like 31 and a half minutes. And I'm trying to push myself to get back to where I was. And I know I'll get there, but it's something like, for me, I'm always constantly pushing myself and out of my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm. No, I think like what you brought up about, this is something that a lot of people struggle with. I think that lose a massive amount of weight. And this is something that I kind of struggled with, but luckily I was at a pretty good place when I got to my leanest. But like so many people that are losing weight, they only focus on losing weight. And that's it, which might sound funny, but like eventually you're going to get to a point where your boy or your girl don't need to lose any weight anymore, like you're good. But it's, if you're not at a point where you understand like, okay, now it's time to maintain, or maybe it might be smart for me to gain a little bit of weight because this isn't the best place to be. Like, it's really hard. Like, so many people struggle with it. And like for me, when I got to my leanest, I was 180 pounds. That's when I competed in my physique show. So if I, in my head, always felt like for me to be healthy or for me to be at the weight I should be 180 pounds, I literally would never be happy. Because now I sit between 210, 215. Like, that's pretty standard for me, right? So that's like 30 to 40 pounds over my stage weight, my leanest weight. So I would constantly think to myself that I am 30 to 40 pounds overweight, right? Which is completely wrong. And I think I'm completely fine where I am now. But this is something that so many people struggle with when they lose a lot of weight.
It's the number. I admit it. Like, I got so obsessed with the number, and I'm like, I'm not at 125. And I'm like, I don't think my body will ever be at 125. And it was something really interesting. Like, I didn't realize until looking back at old photos, like, I didn't look that good. Like, I looked like you could blow me over. And actually, it was interesting at a birthday party. I was talking to my best friend about it. Like, I was frustrated. Like, I'm trying to lose this weight. And, my friend's like, you look amazing. Like, what are you talking about? You don't need to lose any more weight because you lost too much weight at one point. And I was like, what? My husband, he goes to me, yeah, I told you lost too much weight. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I told you, like, you weren't doing it for me anymore when I was at my lowest. I lost too much weight. And it's something very interesting, with couples dynamic. Like, he loved me at my heaviest. And, it's kind of interesting to think that someone could still love you and you just transformed into a completely different person. Like, I'm not the same girl I was at 356.
This is something that I'm always really interested in talking about, but I don't ever want to be like rude about it. But like, you're pretty open about stuff, but like, being in because like for me, I was never in relationships up until I lost the weight. Like, I just never had any luck, right? I just wasn't never had any luck up until I lost the weight. So I don't have any experience with it at all. Like, I just don't. And so for you, like, and I mean, for your husband, I guess you'd have to be kind of speaking for him. So I apologize for that. But like, have you guys ever had conversations where you talk about that, like him being attracted to you when you were, close to 400 pounds and what it was like for him as you were losing the weight? Like, it's just such an interesting thing to me that I'm never able to really have conversations about.
I think he was so supportive of me in the beginning. Like, even when I first had surgery, he would still eat like takeout or McDonald's or whatever. He would eat in the other room. Like, he wouldn't eat in front of me. And I would go in the other room with him because I wanted to be with him. I said, it's okay. You need to eat. These are your choices. Like, I want to be with you. He was very supportive. He still is. It's been a little rough because with anything, I like kind of like my husband's very a homebody. And now that, I'm very active now and I want to go out and do things, and he's pretty much like, I'm fine just chilling at home. It's hard because as a relationship, we've been together for 13 years. We've been married for 6. You change as you grow anyway and add weight loss to the mix, and it's totally mind-blowing. And it's so crazy to me to like, he's still adjusting to me because it's something like he didn't marry this person, so now he's kind of relearning a little couple things about me. It's like really interesting. But I've kind of always dressed and did what I wanted to anyway, even at my highest. Like, I had bright blue hair, I had tattoos before, now I just have more. Uh, but he's been pretty much great. I mean, he's very, he's always supported me, and I always joke because I'm like, how come he never said anything? Because my mother went and talked to him about my weight at one point because she was very concerned. And I
Mhm.
was like, how come you never told me? And he goes, honestly, I never saw you like that. So I always joke it was like a shallow Hal thing. Like, I was just like, because I look back at pictures and he's like, you never look like that. And a lot of people said that too.
Yeah.
Like my ex
I've
coworkers, they'd be like,
I've
I
had
didn't think you
friends.
looked like that.
Yeah, I've had some of my best friends said like I look at pictures and I'm like, whoa, I don't remember him ever looking like that. Um, so yeah, I've had that similar kind of thing. Obviously not with a significant other, but with just like friends of mine. Now I kind of want to ask a question. It's a little personal, so again, if you don't want to answer it, that's totally fine. But like something that happens with a lot of people, I've seen a statistic. I don't know exactly the numbers, but it's really a really high amount of people that get like weight loss surgery. Usually like marriages seem to fall apart. I don't remember exactly. It was like really high. It was like 80% or something like that. Why do you think that you guys are like thriving, even though other people seem to like struggle with it so much? Again, if you don't want to answer, Phil, you don't have
No,
to.
no,
But.
no. I totally, you know what? I mean, honestly, we've had a couple points where we're just like, at one point, I actually posted this because I actually got really upset. My first time I ran outside was at the little roundabout by Turtleback Zoo. I forget how many miles it was, but I was so excited to run outside for the first time. And I had asked him if he could be there just to take like a little clip of me running because it was something monumental in my fitness journey because I never thought I would be able to run, let alone
Mm-hmm.
like run outside. And he actually huffed in the video.
Mm.
Like he sighed and I was like, I can't believe you did this. Like I like and just looked so disinterested in it. And that was the first time I was just like, wow, something that meant so much to me didn't really mean a lot to him.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, it's hard, and I'm not gonna lie, it takes work. Like marriage is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something, we're always constantly working on, and it's just it either works, as long as you both are willing to work together. I think it kind of, works out. But
Yeah.
I know the statistics are really high because everyone has told me that before. It is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like from my own opinion that doesn't really, hold much weight, but like I think a big part of it is just like you were talking about is like interests. Like when you're in a relationship, a lot of what holds it together, right? Like looks are a reason why you might be attracted to someone, but eventually like you're not going to care that much anymore, right? But like
Yeah.
it's your interests and all of those things, those are what like holds the relationship together a lot of the times. And if someone was at one point really sedentary and wasn't moving very much, and like the person that they were with was also fine with that, and then if all of a sudden they're now going out and doing this thing and going and doing this workout and yeah this, it's like your interests start changing, and then that's where like where you were like kind of connected with the same interest. I'm not saying this is you. I'm just saying like this is my opinion on why so many people. It's now they're kind of like not the same, and
Yeah.
it's like about trying to find common interests still regardless of that. I don't know. I'm not trying to be a relationship therapist, but that's what goes through my head when I hear about it,
No, it's exactly it because there was a time like I didn't want to leave the house. I was perfectly fine staying on the couch watching the same episode of whatever was on TV because I didn't want to go out and do anything. I didn't
Yeah.
want people to see me because it was, being in public like I was terrified all the time because I've been made fun of like straight to my face in public, and it just is not a good feeling. Like I remember one time being in Bob's, like shopping, like looking at clothes, and there was this little kid, and he was like, "Look, mom, look at the really fat girl," and
Ugh.
it was like a little kid, and I'm like this, like mortified, and you know what the mother did? She started laughing with him,
Yeah.
and I'm crying at this point, and
That's when you slap the kid. No, I'm just kidding.
you want to, right? I was like, and it's just like, it's like, it really like, it's kind of sad. Like, it's just, I've been so many, especially being in the hair industry, it's all about how you look. And a lot of people couldn't see past my weight. I'll never forget Valentine's Day one year. I had gotten a bouquet my husband sent to the salon. I wore a black sequin blazer. I was feeling so freaking cute. And one of the salon clients happened to come up to me, who she was a doctor, and she was like, I just have to tell you, you are the prettiest, heaviest person I've ever seen. And then she basically told me, she's like, have you ever thought about losing weight? You really should. Like, you know, it's not healthy for you. And it took me to my lowest point.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was supposed to be feeling so good about myself, I always dressed up. I always did my hair. I always did my makeup, but it didn't matter. People couldn't see past my weight.
Dude, it's so funny like hearing you talk about that, because this is like I've gone on this like pedestal many times, but when people try and like just comment on random overweight people's pictures on Instagram, is like, you're not healthy, you're gonna die, yada. I'm like, dude, do you think they need you to say that? Like, do you think that you saying that is actually helping them? Like, when I was bigger, I knew that it wasn't the best thing. I didn't need random strangers telling me, hey, have you ever thought about losing weight? I'm like, no, dude, never thought about that one. Thanks so much for bringing it up. And then maybe I'll try it. I never heard of weight loss. What a new concept.
No. Or people taking pictures of you without your permission. Like, yeah. I saw someone post a picture of someone eating at a table with food. You could see, you know, and you could see he's overweight from like neck down, and basically going up to the person and saying like, you know, do you have a hard time breathing? Like, you should really think about losing weight and everything. And I'm like, bro, did you forget you used to be fat too? And how dare you go up to someone and do that and take a picture of them without their permission? I had someone take a picture of me as, first off, gym intimidation, you know, to begin with. Someone took a picture of me walking on the treadmill because I walked in a tutu, a long tutu and leggings, you know, with my hair in pigtails, because I wasn't, you know, I was in the middle of my weight loss journey. I had, you know, still was heavy. And this person took a picture of me and posted it on Instagram at the YMCA actually, and was like, wow, this girl's in a tutu. What gives you permission to take pictures of someone and post it?
Dude, like, I don't know. I'm not trying to, I really do think that, and this is probably getting into territory that I probably shouldn't go down, but whatever, I do what I want. Like, I really do think that women have it harder than men in that aspect. Like, women are, I'm gonna get canceled for saying this. Women are really supportive a lot of the times, but it seems like women can also be really freaking mean, man. Like,
they're freaking mean.
I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna stop. I don't want to go down that road. I don't want to get in trouble. But like, that just sucks. That just sucks that you. And I don't know if it was a woman that posted that, but like,
it was a woman. It was a woman. Why would it be a man? Why would it be a man?
Yeah, I mean, one, shout out to you for walking in a freaking tutu. Like, whenever I see that stuff,
I wear a tutu when I was running outdoors. I had knee-high socks. I still rock them on my bike. My knee-high socks with my cute little outfits, and I wore a tutu, my hair in pigtails. Like, I wore makeup working out, because like, as long as you're working out and whatever makes you confident enough to go work out, to go do it. Go wear that tutu.
100%. 100%. That's why I hate when people are like, why is she wearing makeup to work out? I'm like, because like she wants to. Why does it matter? Why? And this is something dude and women do. It's like, I don't wear makeup, so why does she have to? Well, good for you. Like, why do you care? I don't get it. I don't get it. Or when people judge what someone is wearing to work out, like sometimes people, they used to comment to me like, why do you have nice clothes to work out? It's so ridiculous. Just wear nasty, dirty clothes that are old. They're going to get sweaty anyways. And I'm just like, because I want to feel good, man. Like, why do you care what I'm wearing? I don't, that whole thing is just so silly to me.
That's why, that's like even on that one website, they're like, oh, she's wearing a hoodie on her bike ride. Why? And I'm like, why does it matter I'm wearing a hoodie? Is it hurting you in some way, seeing me wear a hoodie? Like, bro, it's a workout hoodie. It's lightweight. Yeah. Chill.
People are just really okay. We are way off topic now, but I just want to say thank you so much for coming on. I do like to ask this last question for anyone that comes on. If you could give yourself or someone that was at your starting point like advice, like what would be the one thing that you would tell them or yourself?
Honestly, as much as social media is an amazing, great thing, I feel like maybe starting your journey to yourself and keeping it to yourself might be the best, because in the beginning, you're going to have food pushers. You're going to have like everyone being like, oh, you shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. I literally did not start this Instagram until 6 months after my bariatric surgery. Because honestly, first off, I never thought anyone would be into a girl losing weight. Yeah. So that's why if you see, I never took photos of me naked. like everyone does, with the rolls hanging out and everything. I never did. You could see it through the clothes. Like, I was a big girl.
Trust me, same.
Because I never thought anyone was interested.
I wish I had the naked or the shirtless pictures, but I was like, I'm not taking shirtless. Why would I ever do that? Like,
bro,
yeah.
You can see with the clothes. You get an idea. There are rolls there. I'm not hiding it. You know what I mean? As much as I wore clothes like to hide it, I did it. And it was something like, even like people that knew that I was on this journey, you're gonna have food pushers that are be like, oh,
Herbalife
really eat that?
Health coaches.
Yes. They're like, oh, you can't have a little bit of this pasta. Oh, eat this. Like, why aren't you eating this? Like, oh, you can't, go out and drink. Like, these are like personal choices. So sometimes it's better to maybe start off to yourself a little bit. And then if you feel more comfortable, confident in yourself and your journey, then you could put it out there, because it'll be awful if someone or someone's comment deters you off your journey, because people are cruel. On social media. Let's just face it. As much as you get the good, you have to accept the bad that comes along with it. And it's something you have to be kind of like your biggest cheerleader. Because honestly, at the end of the day, it's about you and your journey, and no one cares more about it than yourself.
Dude, wow. So that was the most different answer I've ever heard when I asked that question. And I love it, because this is something that I talk about too, is like, there's so much good out of social media and posting your story and sharing your weight loss and like sharing this stuff. But understand, I'm not saying don't do it, but like what you explained is like, understand there are negatives, and they can be serious, and they can be debilitating, and they can be to a point where you don't want to post. And like, if you get to that point, it's fine to take a step back. But like, that's why I say when people are like, I want to make a YouTube channel documenting my weight loss, I'm like, that's great, but like, here are some things that could go wrong, or like that might happen. And I'm not saying it to make you not do it, but like, think about this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, think about this stuff before you just jump into it, because it's a genuine concern that you should be worried about.
And then your life is basically under a microscope for anybody and everyone to comment about it. And I hate when people say this, when you put yourself out there, and I'm like,
you deserve it. Oh my God.
You deserve it, because you put yourself out there in your journey. And I'm like, you know what? I'm still helping people. And at the end of the day, as long as it makes you happy, that's what matters. I mean, it's just, it's crazy to me. Like, I just wish, as much there is so much support though within the community, but then again, there are some people that won't be in your corner.
Awesome. Well, I mean, this was a really fun talk. Last thing, if someone wants to find you, like, where would be the best place for them to find you?
So pretty much on Instagram, Autumn X Noir. And yeah, basically I post basically everything I do between weight loss and work and what crafts I'm doing at home, because I'm kind of like, I'm all gothy and like, love like weird and unusual things. So basically my life.
Sweet. Awesome.